Hey guys, it's time to cast the controller on over once again, and welcome back to Analogue, a hate story. I have begun the second section of recording, which means that it is time to resolve the plot hole that I left us both. Cliffhanger. The cliffhanger that I left us both on, which is, of course, this one. But we are going in order. Do I have to re-enable? I don't. Good. The more she lives in my house, the more I am confused by the mystery that is the pale bride. No wonder why my husband has been favoring the Kim family lately. Their daughter seems to be the perfect woman. She is not simply a pale beauty. She's always too shy to speak at all, let alone argue. Seems to hang off his every word, and it turns out is actually so completely humble in her education that she cannot even read. Or rather, she cannot read normal characters. I have observed her writing to herself, perhaps in what may be a diary. When I asked what it was, she wouldn't say, but was quick to hide it. I could not recognize a single character on her screen, however. They seemed simplified compared to regular writing. Perhaps she has invented a writing system just for herself? It is very strange. I like how she simultaneously believes her to be so uneducated she can't even read, but intelligent enough to create her own language. Well, written language, I guess, but nonetheless. It is very strange. Did you ever receive those letters I sent to your house before you arrived? I asked her, curious. Seemingly she had. Did you read them? Her response was worried, as she was scared I would be angry to find out she hadn't. I was not, of course. I'm sorry, I had assumed. Are you able to read? That was when I found out that she wasn't. I offered to read them to her, to which she seemed quite enthusiastic. I think I am likely to leave out some parts, however. I had enough difficulty bringing myself to writing the more embarrassing parts of the family history. Bringing myself to talk about them, even if I know she would never say anything, is just far too much. Like all things with her, I cannot tell whether her enthusiasm is sincere or an effort to make me happy. This troubles me. What do you have to say? Of course I wasn't illiterate. I could read just fine, just not their stupid Chinese-based characters. I mean, I can understand them now. Everything except for my diary entries is translated from them. It's such a dumb way of writing, though. It makes everything come out so stilted compared to proper Korean. Well, anyway, you're showing me that because you're interested in her admonitions, right? Yes. Then here, I'll just give you the letters she sent. Technically, I think Mute already gave us those, but it doesn't matter who gives us the letters. They give all the details, even the ones she was too embarrassed to tell me about at the time. You can probably guess which parts she cut out. It's pretty obvious. Oh, okay. I'm wishing we'd read those first now, but we did not, so we get this thrown at us by surprise. It's the incest thing that she never told me about at the time. Having read about it now, I don't really blame her. And, well, here, you can see what I mean for yourself. Later. I made myself wait like 48 hours to the next time I could read or record rather. It took a lot of effort not to just come in here and just read a little bit just to see no, it took quite a lot of effort. But I want to get to that one about the death thing because it intrigues me. Dear Diary, I've been thinking a lot about how close my death must be now. Lately I've been getting prone to fainting spells. It probably goes right along with my diminishing appetite. If the doctor from the past was right, I've still got over a year left to live, maybe more. He said it wasn't very likely to get bad enough to kill me until I was at least 18. Although maybe all those years in stasis might have changed that, I don't know. But if he was right, and I haven't lost track of time, I'm 16 and a half right now, so there's still a while. I've been trying to hide the signs of sickness. Even if I could explain, I know full well that nobody would believe me. So far, hiding it has been mostly working, although I did have one of my fainting spells while my husband was on top of me. He wasn't angry at me, though. I don't think he cared. I know all I write about these days is sex with my husband and conversations with his wife. The Kim family would be proud, I guess. But those two things are really all that's worthwhile in my life. I have other responsibilities, of course. They're just not that interesting. And that's about it. Anyway, the Queen has continued to be nice to me. She finally figured it out. We were having tea together one afternoon. She was talking about nothing in particular, and she asked me some question that I just shrugged to. I hope you do not take this the wrong way, she then said. But there's something I would like to ask you. I nodded. I don't think I've ever heard your voice before. I nodded again. Why don't you ever speak to me? Are you just saving that for the Emperor? I didn't know how to respond. She was so close to getting it, to bringing up the subject I wasn't able to. Yet that wasn't the right question. So I shook my head and hoped that what her next question would be. It was. Then, Hyun-Ae, she said uncertainly, are you mute? I felt like screaming yes at the top of my lungs. I was so happy that she'd finally figured it out. I smiled and was about to nod enthusiastically, but suddenly I stopped. What if she thought less of me if I said yes? If she knew that the reason I was so quiet and demure wasn't because of any sort of discipline. Those were the things people liked about me. Would she stop liking me if she knew? What if she told my husband? I was so terrified. I couldn't think of any correct answer. If I said no, I'm sure she would have asked to hear what my voice sounded like, and I'd be forced to disobey. And if I nodded, then she'd know I wasn't really trying hard to just be a good wife. And I'm sure she would talk to my husband about it, so he'd know too. But while I stared at her in terror, thinking of how to respond, she sighed and sipped her tea. Don't worry about it, she said. You do not have to answer. Please, do forget that I even asked. Wow, she was legit mute. You know, nobody ever noticed that until her. Nobody cared. Nobody ever thought any of it. Or cared enough about me to find out. But she did care. She actually paid attention. She was great. Yeah, we all know what this is building up to. I was just editing the other videos that I did, mostly to keep me from playing this without recording it. And I realized that at some point I actually said that the queen was nice. That's not going to go well for her. And I was right. I was right. I'm paraphrasing my own words there, but I was right. My concern over the pale bride's condition has grown. Lately she has seemed to grow even quieter. Such a thing is possible for a mute girl. Well, perhaps saying she is mute is an assumption too far on my part. I'm sorry, I have to pause. Why is she mute? She was quite the yeller, and then all of a sudden she's mute? I suspect the Kim family may have done something bad. Ha, ha, ha. Hope they didn't, cut out her tongue. I'm sure they didn't. She's tasted and eaten it in food, and they would have noticed. Oh, jeez. I tried asking her directly, but she seemed too scared to answer. That simply makes me more suspicious, and I should like to know why. I addressed my husband on the matter, telling him that I wished to speak to the woman of the Kim family house to see if I could find out what was wrong. He shrugged me off, saying, Don't. They're valuable subjects. The son is someone I have my eye on in particular. The politics of this situation are far too delicate for you to be meddling with. Well, at least the son can rest assured that he's worthwhile beyond the pale bride's interference. I cleared my throat. He might be both my husband and emperor, but I would not let that stop me from being bold. My dear husband, I don't care, I said flatly. I am worried about the girl, and I believe that talking to her mother may shed some light on the matter. The son is of no concern to me. I don't see why it matters. She's the perfect woman. Why, are you jealous? He said, rolling his eyes at me, a gesture that he's only ever been able to use on me and his servants ever since becoming emperor. Nobody had the patience for it when he was a child. I don't have it now either. Inho, dearest, do you believe that the well-being of your wife is a political matter, or even an external matter? I asked. He didn't. So would you say that it's a domestic matter? I asked. He reluctantly agreed. Then, as a domestic matter, it is the responsibility of the woman of the house, is it not? She can play him. She can play him. She plays him very well. Please, tell me, you are obviously more well-read in the classics than I said, both of us knowing he wasn't. Fine, he said, but just because it is your responsibility does not mean I can't overrule you. He left silent to follow up. I don't have to take this from you. You do know that my concerns are valid, though, I replied. If you value my opinion, you will let me speak to the Kim mother. There was a pause, then he raised his hand in annoyance. Very well, do it. It's woman's business. I don't want to part in it regardless. Then he just shook his head. Why must all our conversations be arguments? I smiled to him and left. He already knows the answer. Oh, what's the answer? I never knew about that when we were alive. Like most things, I only found out after I took over the ship's computer. It just amazes me even more. Look at her. She's a woman who... It's almost like there's an obligatory weird brain refresh noise for each episode. Maybe at the end, if I'm smart enough / remember, I'll just do a compilation of me making all of those noises. She's a woman who actually stood up to a man and won. She wasn't clumsy like I was. She knew how to work it from her position. Isn't that so amazing? Oh, why sad face? Why sad face? I am sad for sad face. I'm not ready, you guys. All I've wanted for the past 2 days is to get to how she died and why she died, and now I'm not ready because what if the Kim family killed her? No, I can't. I'm covering my eyes. I'm not ready. I am not ready. I like her. No. I thought I liked Hyun-Ae or Hyun-Ae or whatever. I've already forgotten her name. Nope. I liked the queen better. Once again, my curse of my favorite character dying rings true. Of course, that was kind of gonna happen since all but 2 of the characters were dead already by the start of the game, and I killed the other one by deleting her. Oops. Sorry, mute. Dear Diary, you always forget how terrible it is to cry yourself to sleep until it happens. It's just the ultimate feeling of helplessness, but what's new there, right? I just miss her. Mish. I just miss her. Even if she scared me, I miss her so damn much. Jaehwa was the only one who was sympathetic to me. Why did she have to die? Is that my fate? Anything that makes whatever short life I have left bearable must go? Fate just hates me, I've decided. I don't know what killed her. I overheard one of the doctors saying the doctor claimed it was too much worry causing an excess of wood in the spleen, which he claimed to be common in oversensitive women. I was baffled by the absurdity at the time. I still am now. My only friend is dead, and her diagnosis is absolutely insane. What do you even say to something like that? I say that she was murdered. That's my conclusion. Well, I guess it's not like I need to worry about knowing what to say. Oh. But in light of that, it doesn't surprise me that nobody ever believed I was sick. With medicine that stupid, why would they? All it does is reinforce how hopeless everything is. I just constantly wonder, why did my father or my own doctor think that the people would be smarter in the future? That medicine would be better? My servant has been helping me get through all the funeral stuff. Well, I mean, she's been guiding me through the rites. Practically doing them for me, really. I'm so weak and so stunned. I don't even know how I've been getting out of bed. I couldn't describe any of the ceremony. It's all a blur. There's been lots of black dress, I suppose. That's my only impression. And crying. Lots of crying. From me. Aww. I don't. Let's be honest, guys. Pretty much every episode, at least once or twice, I've said, do not trust, do not trust, do not trust. I do not trust a single thing that any AI might say. I do not trust it. I don't trust it, not now or any other day. But we'll try. Please understand my position at the time. My world was so small and I'd just lost my only friend. And then well, I'll give you my last 2 diary entries. They have the whole story. Just, please don't judge me while you read them. Please. Do I read them, or do I go read the admonitions to keep you guys in suspense? Oh, that is a temptation. Well, those just say it all, don't they? We're actually going to go read the admonitions, if I can find them. Where are they at? I don't remember. I really do not. Letter to don't care. Person who I don't know. Okay, so 6 is what I'm going back to. 10? Yes, marital admonitions. To the woman who will marry my husband, as you are doubtlessly aware, it is traditional for a noble man's mother to write poetic admonitions to be sent to the bride-to-be before she enters the family, explaining the circumstances and proffering advice to her. Sadly, your mother-in-law has long since departed, leaving the responsibility in my hands. I never had any such letters sent to me, for reasons which I'll explain soon enough, and I have furthermore studied verse only enough to know that I am unable to write it well. I hope you do not think less of me, young pale bride, for addressing these letters in plain speech instead. Rather, pay attention to my words over my form, and please do not be hasty in erasing these letters after reading, for your own sake. I hope you find the advice and knowledge I will impart on you useful. To the woman who will marry my husband, as you are no doubt aware, the Ryu family has an extremely long and proud history. I forgot to have her talk to me. Click-a-dick. Oop. I never read her letters at the time. I couldn't. I know she read them to me eventually, but I was just numb to that sort of talk at that point. Now they're just hard for me to read. I understand. Go down. As you are no doubt aware, the Ryu family has an extremely long and proud history. Every man to hold the title Captain and Emperor has always been of our house, and you are here to make sure that continues for another generation. The name goes all the way back to ancient times. Mythology speaks of a Captain Ryu who had control of even the ship's movements through the stars themselves. Such things remain far removed from everyday life, but it is important to understand the significance of the house and of the title that your first son will eventually come to inherit. You just gonna say the same thing? Yep, okay. I'm not gonna click through them again then, because it's probably just gonna say the same for them all. It is an obvious matter that I do have the same family name as my husband. The official story, if you have not already heard it, is that we are cousins, making our marriage improper and less than ideal, but somewhat acceptable given the circumstances. At the time, there were no noble daughters who had not already been promised or given away in marriage, and obviously a girl of any lesser upbringing could not possibly be suitable as a queen. Hence, cousins would simply have to do. Strictly speaking, this is all true. The part about there not being any noble daughters available is not a misrepresentation. And as far as any official genealogy is concerned, the Emperor is the son of my father's brother. The part which you may not speak of openly is that he is the old Emperor's son only by adoption. As far as blood goes, my husband is also my brother. As children, we never lived together, and it would, of course, have been strictly improper to have spent any time together at that age. I would never say anything such as that my husband have actually arranged for there to be no noble daughters to marry out of his desire to marry me. That would, of course, be a rather bold move to accuse an emperor of such, but you may wish to consider what the implications might be if such a thing truly did happen. I leave it to you to decide whether or not such a thing is plausible. All I will say is that despite our marriage having been out of necessity, my husband has always been very fond of me. Aww, that's creepy. Like, seriously, like, the emperor is the son of my father's brother, the old emperor's son only by adoption. Ugh. That's so creepy. Like, I'm sure she thought it was really romantic at the time, and, like, if there's no other options, it must have been considered a necessity by their society, but dude! Let's see, does she say anything different for that one? No, okay. I just had to double check, because that was, kind of a revelation. Take me to part 4. As for your responsibilities, your burden will be quite light. You will, of course, be expected to be the model of feminine virtue, but truthfully, I do not expect you'll have very much trouble with this. As long as you keep your head down, avoid scandal, and keep quiet, that will more than suffice. As far as the day-to-day is concerned, you'll have nothing to concern yourself with, as this is the royal family you are marrying into. As queen, I run the management of the house's affairs and will not require any assistance from you in that regard. As part of a royal concubine's demonstration of modesty, you will have to share my own personal servant, will not have one of your own. While you will not have to be responsible for all housework, be modest and do not remain idle at her expense. You are expected to be as unseen as the servants and be wasteful only in the most moderation. Do not speak harshly to your servant and be appreciative of what she does and not incompassionate. Aww, they actually cared about their servants. That's honestly very nice. I'm sorry, my brain's still reeling from part 3. Your one sole responsibility will be spending as much time with the emperor as it takes to produce a son. After you give birth, you will not need to worry about raising him. What? That's terrible. I will be there to make sure that it's all arranged for. Simply make our husband happy, keep out of sight, and give him a son, and you will have no more to worry yourself with. That actually sounds like a really bad take. Like that's a crummy job. You don't even get to raise your own son? And it never mentions what happens if she gives birth to any daughters. The virtues which you are expected to demonstrate are simply those expected of any woman, and given your noble upbringing, I will not consent to treat you as if you do not already know them quite well. You will be expected to be quiet and obedient to me as well as obviously our husband. Perchance you are scolded, trust my judgment as your elder. I will never act out of anger or spite. If scolded by our husband, always respond with a smile, for your relationship with him must always be warm, and he is a wise man. You have to smile when you're scolded? No. Even if I deserve it, I might not argue. I might remain straight-faced, but I will not smile in the face of a scolding. Not happening. I do not, however, anticipate that such things will be problems. He told me of the interview in which he spoke to you, and has had nothing to report at all on your manner of speech, so I trust it was entirely proper and polite. Well, it's more like she had no ability to talk. In light of that, I will say nothing further on the matter. As far as ritual obligations go, you have none, save for following in my lead. Both your mother and father-in-law are long dead, so you have no further obligations to them. I had trouble adjusting at first, but I anticipate nothing you could be surprised by. I will not tell you to avoid court politics entirely, so long as you do not cause trouble, but I will suggest that you simply watch from a distance. The temptation that may exist to meddle, especially if you ever talk to the artificial girl Mute, who lives inside her computer. Oh, Mute, I'm still regretful for deleting you. She is a gossip and a friend of the Smith noble family, and is responsible for revealing much of what they try to keep hidden. She may seem fickle, but she does belong to the house of Ryu first and foremost, and is quite loyal. Nevertheless, meddling is not in your best interests. Do not play politics, not only for our sake, but for the sake of being a virtuous wife. Or for the sake of being a virtuous wife, but for the sake of your own family as well. They will receive favor not through any scheming on your part, but through our husband's will. Entertain yourself with gossip if you wish, so long as you keep quiet about it, but stay out of politics. In the end, you will manage to go much farther if you rely on rewards for being a good wife. And then this should be the one we saw before. But please do not think that all of this is meant to say you will be unloved. You may be a second wife, but you are still the daughter of a noble house, and that is a precious gift to the Ryu family. My husband has faith that you will bring him a son. And I know I've already read all of this, but I just want to give us a refresher because it was in the first episode. And this means all the world to him. Nor am I jealous, for you will relieve a heavy burden on our house, and for that I am grateful. As proof of his affection for you, let me share with you one secret which I have been permitted to tell only you. In honor of you, my husband, in his capacity as captain and emperor, has permanently changed his admin password to your birth name. My new sister will be brought into the Ryu family not as a mere lowly woman, but as a symbol of power in the inner chambers. You will not only represent the continuation of the Ryu bloodline by providing him a son, but your very name will represent the power of the captain's computer. Understand this, pale bride. Your duty may be great, but you will be loved. Oh. Did she say anything different to this? I don't remember. Okay. Didn't think that it mattered. Okay, I guess I've put this off long enough. I suppose it's time to go back to this. However, I got the pop-up, but I didn't click on this to see if she said anything different than the pop-up. I don't really have anything to add to that. She didn't deserve to die. Jeez. Excess of wood. What is that even supposed to mean? Well, it means nothing. Back to hell. To hell and back again. Dear Diary, this sounds so pathetic to say. I've tried rewriting this a million times just to make it sound less pathetic for me, and I simply cannot. There were 2 things that made life worthwhile, 2 things that made this last year before I die be bearable. The first was Jaehwa's company, being the one person that was friendly to me. The second is sharing a bed with my husband. For the past few months, that is what I've been saving my energy for. That brief, precious half hour every few nights where I feel fulfilled. If only in the most literal sense. Oh my god. I can't believe they went there. This was a very PG channel before this Let's Play. Not really. I've played Binding of Isaac. PG was never in the cards. It's the most lovely feeling, and now I'll never feel it again. The 2 things making my last year of life worth living, gone forever. The past few nights I've been trying to get the Emperor's attention that way, pleading silently for his affections, with no luck. On the 4th, or was it the 5th day, he finally took me aside and said, painful annoyance in his voice, "Enough, stop that, it is completely inappropriate. You're supposed to be in mourning. Show some damn chastity, or do you have no respect for my wife and your queen at all?" He snapped when I looked slightly confused. He just lectured me. When I cried, he sighed, held me tightly, and then left the room. I haven't spoken to him since, but later that day my servant came into my room with the good news. I was to go visit my family for a couple months while the house is in mourning for Jaehwa. I couldn't argue at all, of course, even if I was able. So just like that, I was sent back to hell. I was dressed in the usual veil, so nobody would see my face, as I was escorted back to the Kim house in the middle of the night. Mother and father were there, briefly, to greet me, and in spite of how I felt about them, I put on my bravest smile and bowed, and nodded politely to the questions about how I was doing. Then they had to go to bed and left, leaving me alone with my sister. Hyun-Suk was nowhere to be seen. Dun dun dun. Hi, she said. I never thought you'd end up visiting us again so soon. I shrugged. Well, let's have some tea. It's still just us around. It's just us still around, rather. I nodded. It seemed like a good enough idea. There was a pause. Well, go make it, she snapped, removing any doubt that she might treat me with any sort of friendliness. Rude. Of course I made the tea. I don't disobey her anymore. Thanks, she said. Hyun-Suk is out, attending to official business at the moment, but you should avoid him. He's still angry at you because father-in-law finds you more important to the family than his own son. Can you blame him? I had no idea what she was talking about, and she just continued. So you really shouldn't talk to him. Oh, I guess you can't really do that, can you? Ahaha. Well, you know what I mean. Yes, I knew exactly what she meant. I'm surprised you're back so soon, though, especially now that you don't have to share your husband. Does that mean you're the primary wife now? I didn't know. Does that make you queen? Oh, what great fortune you have. Father-in-law must be proud of you. Oh, does that make her queen? I mean, I wouldn't think so. I don't think that's how titles pass, but that is a question. I stared at her, wishing nothing more than to be able to kill her through sheer force of rage. How could she possibly say something so awful? My only friend was dead, and here she was taunting me? What an awful thing to do. But I couldn't hate her to death, no matter how hard I tried, so instead I tried holding back angry tears to hide my weakness. I couldn't do that either. Rude. What a horrible woman. Just please, keep reading. No! I know what happens next! Well, I don't, obviously. That's the problem. Dear diary. 3-3. It's 3-6 when I record this, 3 days after the plan was hatched. I was far too feverish to do any real cooking, so my servant was doing all the work for me that night when father came in. I think he was drunk, or maybe just tired. Or stupid. You know, child, he said to me, you grew up to be a wonderful daughter. I was shocked to hear him say that and waved my servant out of the kitchen. I'd never heard even the slightest indication of that before. For the briefest moment, it even made me feel happy to hear that. That surprised me that I actually felt that way. As a kid, I never would have wanted his approval, so why now? He continued to make me wonder when he asked, do you remember what you were like as a child? I nodded, but I wasn't certain I did. You were so temperamental. You argued all the time. You didn't want to get married when the time came. You just didn't ever know your place, you know. That's right, I didn't. That was back when I thought there was a point to being defiant. Why was that, I wondered. That's the part that amazes me now. I tried to think of a reason why I might want to be defiant, why I valued independence, and at first I couldn't think of anything. I had forgotten entirely. Don't tell Hyun-Suk, but it really scared me. You were always the family's best hope for prosperity, but that attitude of yours. Uh-oh, she's got an attitude. I'm kind of scared to see where this goes. Really am. I never thought I'd manage to disavow you of those crazy, uncivilized ideas of yours, he said, while I tried to think of what they were. There were times I thought it was a mistake to have hatched you, but you came through. You really did. I know it must have been painful, but I'm proud of you. Then he patted me on the head. You turned out to be a good girl. How condescending. That's all I wanted to say. It was hard raising you to be a proper woman, but you turned out to be perfect. Thank you, he said. I stared, speechless, and I tried to remember what crazy uncivilized ideas was he talking about. Thinking back to those days, or back to before I was frozen, I tried to remember. I had dreams of what adulthood would be, but they're so unimaginably different from what the reality turned out to be that they seemed impossible. Completely impossible. Nothing more than childhood fantasies without a shred of realism to them. I tried to think of what they were, to imagine them. In those dreams, I was strong, independent. I wasn't just a wife in those dreams, I had a job, working as the ship's engineer, following the footsteps of my father, my real father. I wasn't married in those dreams. I was happy just to go on dates with boys my age, in the ship's plaza, and fall in love before making any commitments. I dreamed of being free. This hurts my soul to read, 'cause we all know that she wasn't, and now she's trapped in the most literal sense of things, living as an AI in a computer. That's a bummer. I did jazz hands, but you couldn't see. I really should start looking into a webcam. The more I thought about it, the more I was certain that's what those dreams were about. That's what I'd wanted. But Father Kim Jung-soo, had made sure to disavow me of those notions. I learned to stop arguing, to stop trying to fight, to stop dreaming of those things. In other words, I learned how to be a proper woman, and he was proud of that, proud of destroying my dreams, and now I would die under the house of that man, silenced, broken, hopeless, and unloved. Oh, I feel bad for her, even though I know I have 2 pages before she starts going insane. I was overwhelmed by the strongest feeling I had ever felt in my life, the deepest bitterness, the most powerful resentment I could imagine. I looked at the knife near my hand and wondered, could I kill him? Before I died, could I at least have justice? I tried to lift the knife. My hand would twitch, and it was too hard to keep a grip. I was just too weak. I'd never be able to do it. That's probably a good thing. Murder is kind of frowned upon, even in the idealistic past where you came from. Even in the past where I live. Murder is bad. PSA, kids. Murder is bad. He smiled at me and said, sorry, please go ahead and keep cooking. I won't distract you anymore. You are an idiot. That dude, with one drunken slurred praise to the daughter he crushed and remolded in the image he wanted, just doomed an entire ship of innocent people to die. Like, I mean, obviously there were other things building up to this, namely all those actions he did that he just praised himself for. But, like, dude, if you'd kept your trap shut, she probably wouldn't have survived long enough to go insane. Then, just as he was about to go out the door, he added, take care of yourself. At that moment, I vowed that I would. I wouldn't worry any more about all those people who had hurt me. I'd take care of myself. I couldn't stab him to death, I was too weak for that. But then I remembered, there were other ways. If I disable life support, I can kill him, and all the others too. I knew that's how she did it. It'll be quick. It'd be easy, and not one of them don't deserve it. There are plenty of people who don't deserve it, including several babies, all those commoners who had literally never even met you. You're kind of killing about, for every 2 people that you're pissed at legitimately, you're killing like at least 50. And all I'd need to disable it is the admin password. It's perfect. Do I click this or this? Clearly this. Well, so there you are then. Now you know. It's true. I did do what she said I did. I'm not going to lie. I really wish you'd never met her. I wish she'd never said anything to you. I just thought it was so nice the way things were with us before. Things started out so well. I got to be cheery for the first time in my life since I was a child. I don't trust anything that's happening. Talking about actual romantic things together. I never meant them that way. I'm just gonna put that out there. Having fun with cosplay. God darn it. I was gonna change her into a maid first. I forgot to show you another outfit. And just, having someone there to talk to. Someone who wasn't interested in shutting me up. But now, well, please, you've read my diary. You have to know it's not, you have to understand, right? Even if you think what I did was wrong, look, I've never really been dishonest with you. Fine, I lied about being an AI, but I told you the truth. I could have deceived you, but didn't. Please, you still trust me, right? I never really lied to you, not seriously. You don't have to think what I did was acceptable, but please, tell me you trust me. I wouldn't get on the ship you're in control of. But I trust you not to lie about being insane. We're gonna say we trust her. That's the path I feel like I've been walking. I'm gonna commit to it. And I did just save, so we can always come back. You do? Really? Oh my word. I mean, of course. I'm so sorry. I should have had faith in you. I really should have. I'm really bad at this. But thank you. Thank you so much. I can't believe I doubted you for a second. I just realized that I'm supposed to be downloading logs, and I've yet to download any logs. Look, guy, that means a lot to me. It means so much. I mean, I'm sure what I did wasn't right. I know. I'm sure you don't think it was. I just want you to understand me, all right? For someone I saw that. For someone as good to me as you've been, I want you to at least please understand. You don't have to forgive me. Just hear me out? Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're a really good person. Much better than me. Duh. I'm not a murderer. As far as I know. Oh, wait, mute. Does that count if she was actually an AI? And I thought I could enable her again? We're gonna say it doesn't count. Thank you. Then very well, it's probably better if I show you. There's a data block that contains all the logs that matter, but my family encrypted it because, well, it should be obvious after you read it. You need to drop into the terminal and type decrypt block 7. Let me know once you've done that, and I'll show you. Ooh, we're gonna click this. Decrypt block 7. I gotta remember that. Okay, still gonna tell me that. That's alright. That's okay. I'm gonna go and put her in a dress. Because that is far more important. What were the options again? Change. I said change outfit. I can type. I know letters. So we've done handbook, detective, and scientist. Maid. Quit. Because I want to give her a little bit of cheer. Okay. I instantly regret this. I can't. Okay. Welcome back, Master. What may I do for you? Well, tell me, what do you think? It's just embarrassing. It's adorable. Ah, really? Thank you. Your hair seems a bit sharp there. I'm happy to hear you like it. I mean, I already know that I'm... What did that say? I already know that I'm good looking something something. Aw, geez, what am I saying? I just think it's fun dressing up like this, and I'm happy you agree with me. Wait, can I? I can scroll back. Oh, I can't. It skips it. It skips it. Oh, it's not like I need someone else's approval or whatever. I'm happy you agree with me. I've dressed up for others before, but never in one I really liked. It's a really different feeling. It's, how do I put this? Well, even if you think I look cute, I'm sure you think this is at least a little bit embarrassing, right? I see that flush. I know what she's getting at. We're gonna go ahead and say a little bit. Might as well play along. Of course, it sort of is, isn't it? That's the fun of it, isn't it? Putting yourself in that sort of position by choice because you really... no, I still don't know how to say it. Jeez, I'm just gonna stop now before I make an even bigger mess for myself. That would be ironic for a maid, wouldn't it? Well, shall we get back to more serious stuff? I'd be happy to help with whatever you like. Use override terminal. Save. We're on page 4. This is in trouble. Decrypt block 7. But I'm not going to hit enter on that just yet because that marks the end of my turn. Let me just cast the controller on back to you and hope you pass along again soon. Bye-bye, guys, and I'll ABC you next time.